name is Ralph Serena. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran from 1968 to 1972. What I did in the Navy was work for the Naval Security Group, which was an intelligence gathering organization for NSA. I was stationed all over the world. I never regretted a minute of my naval duty. I'm glad I never got to go to Vietnam. That's okay. And I'm happy about having served my country. So I had to get a job, so I went to work for the county as a fare-free driver. While I was doing that, they asked me if I wanted to drive solely for the Crest Haven Nursing Home bus up there. They had a handicap bus. And I said, sure, that was great. And I got to meet a lot of people while I was working there, older people who had been during the war. I met somebody who knew Jack Kennedy while I was there. He was stationed at Tulagi in the Navy. And then I wanted to come back here where I put so much of my heart and soul and work into this place. I felt like I owed something back to it. So I started volunteering here, I'd say about eight or 9 years ago. I've been doing work here ever since. I help as a tour guide. I do it whenever they ask me, can I do a tour? I say sure, if I'm available. And I enjoy it. I try and relate all the things that I learned while I worked here from people I met about the aircraft. By the way, I am a pilot. I was a pilot. I don't fly anymore. I can't afford it. Gas is too expensive. But for years I did fly, so I understand the thrill and the love of flying. I understand aircraft. I love being around aircraft, and being in this environment is like, for me, being in heaven. And people are surprised when I tell them this. I mean, we've got American aircraft in here, World War II stuff. The Tomcat is great. The Tomcat's probably my second best aircraft. But my favorite aircraft of all, believe it or not, is the MiG-15. And the reason I love that aircraft is because of the time it came out. In that period of history, it was the most advanced aircraft of its time. Any other country never had an aircraft like that. It was a groundbreaker. It was aerodynamically just beautiful, and I just love the lines of it. I don't like what it did to our aircraft during the Korean War, but looking at it strictly as an aircraft and from a pilot's eyes, it's one of the most beautiful aircraft I've ever seen. The TBM behind me, which is a Navy bomber, was the largest aircraft ever on an aircraft carrier during the war. It was a torpedo bomber and a high-level bomber. One day I was working here and I was carrying a bunch of hose and things. I had to wash off a bird. And I was walking across, and I noticed coming in to visit the museum was a really old lady, and she was in a walker. And she was one step at a time walking in. And she came in, she walked over to this aircraft and started running her hands all over the aircraft, caressing it, touching it, and I looked at that and I thought, that's somewhat strange. I never saw anybody do that before. Well, her son came in after paying. The admission came in and he walked over to us, and I asked him, I said, is this your mother? And he said, yep, she's 92 years old. And I said, God bless her. And I said, your mother really seems to like this aircraft. And he looked at me straight in the eye and he said, my mother built this aircraft. And I was like, wow. She was, in the 40s, a Rosie the Riveter. And she worked at the plant in Trenton that made this particular aircraft. She was a Jersey girl, this bird. She was right behind me. And it was funny, and I talked to her. I said, ma'am, I'm impressed. I'm honored to be in your presence. What part of the airplane did you work on? And she said, I was the one who put the radios in on the radio position right below the pilot seat. Well, I had a key to the back door of the aircraft, and I went over and I opened up the door, and I let her peek in. I shone a flashlight in. She said, yeah, that's where every day I was up in it. And she got all excited. And I went to go talk to her son for a second about something, and I turned back, and this 92-year-old woman was trying to climb up into the aircraft through the door I just opened. Well, I couldn't let her do that. And I went over and I pulled her back out. She was halfway in the door. I pulled her back down. I said, ma'am, I can't let you in the aircraft. I'm sorry. Insurance thing, you know. And then she came over to me. She poked me in the chest. And she said, Sonny, I used to get in and out of this airplane 50 times a day. And I said, yes, ma'am, I don't doubt that, but I'm sorry, I can't let you in the aircraft right now. I'm just sorry. I can't. But I was quite impressed, and I was honored to meet her. It was a thrill for me. It was.